Good morning, good day. What's up, Africa and the world? My name is Oliver Fortune Chikozari. I'm an entrepreneur based in Cape Town, South Africa, and I'm your host. And this is the first episode of Ahp Podcast. We're going to be having the different series of Ahp Podcast, and this is the first series of the Ahp Podcast, African Hidden Potential Podcast. In this podcast, we're going to be talking about a number of topics which you're going to see in a moment, and we're going to be bringing great speakers across the world, and these speakers will be able to address and help us to unpack and address and propose solutions to some of Africa's development and some of the challenges that we face as a continent, and this podcast will also be able to aiming to promote education and create awareness to support Africa's development, which is very, very important. We are saying that Africa cannot develop outside Africa, Africa for Africans. So we as Africans, we need to come together. And this is what we have learned from COVID-19, that one should have critical thinking, but one should also be able to collaborate intentionally to achieve a set objectives. And that's what we need to do as Africans. Africa also have to unite. It's very, very important that we come together as a united force. For example, South Africa, it's in public knowledge that South Africa as a country joined the BRICS. It's now called the BRICS Plus. Joined the BRICS with the aim of representing the continent, because South Africa, we are 62 million people, inhabitants, and as South African economy, we are too small to compete with 1 billion people, 1 billion economy of India, China, Brazil, and Russia. But as a continent, we can have a united force to be able to compete on an equal footing at a global level. With some of those big economies. We also need to outline general steps and strategies to characterize and solve Africa's problems. It is by we Africans coming together, and when we come together, outlining those challenges and find solutions to those challenges and help engage to mandate to help to support the Africa's mandate to be able to help each other, but also importantly to have a collective vision, a shared responsibility and shared value to build Africa that we want. One of the other areas we need to really focus on is education in terms of capacitating, for example, vulnerable groups such as women and youth across the continent. Which is very, very important, which is of paramount important to Africa's development. Some of the topics and programs that we're going to be proposing, we're going to be, embarking on this channel will be building Africa's defense industry and military technology, establishing an African defense industry, and developing military technology hardware and software. One of our business acquaintances based in the UK from Zimbabwe, he was one of the key players who helped rebuild Iraq after the Iraq invasion a few years ago. And some of that technology, some of that wisdom, that expertise can be able to be brought back on the continent, even harnessing the brain bank of Africans in diaspora, Africans working in the US, Africans working in Canada, Iraq, UAE, Dubai, Australia, New Zealand, Netherlands, Germany, all these countries. And there's a lot of Africans, and I'm happy to be appointed as the ambassador at large for the Minister of Trade for the Africans, for the state of the African diaspora, which was recognized recently as the 6th region of the African continent. We're serving about 350 million Africans across the world in the diaspora, which is very, very important. We need to harness the knowledge, the wisdom, the expertise to be able to develop the Africa that we want. Meeting Africa's needs for Africa's development, addressing primary needs such as food security. We have elaborate, we have water. We can be able to address it by promoting agriculture, using the new technology, but uniting and develop the entire value chain of agriculture, from the woman who is farming cocoa, or shea butter or coffee, to industrialization, value adding to the products before we can export, and of course job creation, marketing, and so forth, which is very very important. The issues of shelter. Recently, Cape Town has been hit by ferocious storms. Most people were out homeless. Become homeless because they didn't have accommodation, they didn't have a place to stay. And in Durban, we also had a few people died because of fires and so forth. So there are these, challenges as well. But we need to come together as entrepreneurs, as leaders in society, as a government, the state, to be able to see how best can we address the issues of housing development across the continent. How do we collaborate with companies such as Shelter Africa and Africa Development Bank that are promoting, development of housing development across the continent, education, sanitization, and energy. These are some of the primary needs that we need, especially energy as well, because with energy we can be able to industrialize our economies. The production becomes cheaper, as well as health, sanitization. All these challenges can be solved if we can address the issue of energy. We talk about tertiary education, technology, digitalization, environment, and climate change. Creating awareness about climate change and environment, promoting tertiary education, promoting digitalization and digital education, digital currencies, very, very important. I was happy to participate at the African Women Innovation Conference forum in 2019 at the Convention Center in Cape Town, and one of the support structures and finance that was available on that was with regards to women in digitalization for women in agriculture across the continent. Intellectual property, the importance of Africa's intellectual property and innovation, the importance of Africa's competitiveness, as well as differentiating invention, innovation, and entrepreneurship. Something very, very close to my heart. I became an entrepreneur at the age of 9. I grew up as an entrepreneur, learning from my own mother to become an entrepreneur. And because I understood that I had a dream, I dared to dream, I had to overcome poverty, because I was raised in a family where my father had 7 wives, more than 23 children that I know. I think probably I have more other siblings that I don't know more. But we didn't have much. I grew up in a rural setting of Mutare, Zimbabwe, and we didn't have much. I had to help my mom to sell so that we can be able to, have food on the table, pay for school fees, pay for books, and so forth, so I can go to school. And I had a tipping point when I was 19, where I'm going to share in some of the episodes going forward how that tipping point came about. But I've always been an entrepreneur, and I support entrepreneurship because I love entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship addresses issues of education, job creation, economic development, but also crime. Imagine if everybody is an entrepreneur, if more people are entrepreneurs, there are jobs. Nobody would think of crime, social issues, teenager pregnancy. So we can be able to address a lot of other issues if we can be able to empower communities to become entrepreneurs. Also, understanding the types of and the importance of IP, along with advantages and disadvantages. If you want to develop a company such as Google or Apple or a multinational company, you need to be able to understand intellectual property and innovation, but also respect it. Because in Africans, we just copy and paste, and we need to move away from that and start understanding and respecting intellectual property. This is for our own good as well. Challenges and opportunities in Africa's IP landscape. As I said earlier, we're not there yet on the continent in terms of respecting, understanding of intellectual property and innovation, and also accessing some of the IP systems across Africa and the associated challenges. It's very, very important that we look into that as well. Examining the AfCFTA plans on intellectual property. What is the Africa Free Trade Area's plans on intellectual property and innovation? So these are some of the things that we need to be able, perhaps we should be able to bring His Excellency Wamkelemene as a speaker as well, to be interviewed on this session, so that we can be able to address some of those challenges and opportunities. Nurturing viable ideas and sustainable development in Africa, exploring the journey of innovation value chain from problem opportunity identification to post-commercialization. Discussing ways to sustain a business after commercialization. As I say, most businesses die in Africa. When the founder dies, every business dies. So we need to be able to see how best can we be able to build a legacy. I always believe that we should live, all of us live in a better place, but also leave a legacy, build a business that will live beyond the founders die, even for our children and grandchildren to come. Cultural leadership in Africa's development is the future, and of course, there are many other topics that we can be able to bring, and you can also suggest any topics that you think that will be able to help Africa to develop. And there are so many ways you can do to support this channel, to support Africa, to support your fellow brothers and sisters. It is one, by inviting me as your guest speaker at your next event, or invite my company, Africa Rising TV, as one of my companies, to be able to partner with you at your event. That's number one. Number two, you can subscribe, you can share this podcast with your fellow Africans and entrepreneurs across the world. Like, subscribe, follow. I love the Nigerian proverb that says there's more where it comes from, and there is more that we're going to be bringing on this podcast and the different episodes and series. Is very, very important. So that's the second way you can be able to support this channel. There's going to be a link in the upcoming episodes, I think from next month, of the different merchandise. You can buy one of my books, African Potential, or the Owner's Manual for Entrepreneurs, which is a case study for entrepreneurs who want to make a difference and make money whilst making a difference on the continent and beyond. So you can also buy any of the merchandise, whether it's books, whether it's t-shirts, caps, hoodies. So there are different merchandise. There's going to be an online link store on here, on the upcoming podcast, so you can be able to support the channel by doing that as well. And then the fourth one will be the mastermind group. So we're creating a mastermind group for this channel. So you can also join at a very, very small rate. You can be able to join the mastermind group if you're looking for tools to help elevate and build your business, for expansion, investments. If you're looking for investments, we have different kind of investments, loan and equity investments that we are giving away. And if you're looking for that as well, or if you just want any advice regarding entrepreneurship and Africa's leadership and development on the continent, you can always reach out to me or to us. I'm going to be able to share our social media links on the bottom. Yeah, on the bottom here as well. So thank you so very much. We're not done yet. I'm just gonna maybe just list out a couple of names, which will be some of the speakers or the guests that we're going to be bringing on this show. So Africa Rising team, my partner Yaina, Gilbert, Namobi, Yvonne, all of them are also going to be coming on this podcast, and they're going to be interviewed, and they're going to be sharing their view, their advice in terms of what should be done in terms of building and supporting Africa's development. Then we're also going Minister of Trade and Industry. He's the former mayor of Johannesburg. Most of you know Johannesburg, South Africa. Honorable Minister Parkstow, who is now our new Minister of Trade and Industry for South Africa, as a great individual who is well versed in terms of what needs to be done, or not just for the South African government, for the South African people, but for the continent and beyond. He's going to be also a guest speaker on this show. We're going to be bringing the Minister of Energy and Electricity as well. Minister of Energy and Electricity of South Africa, my good and dear friend, Minister Ramakgoba, who is doing an amazing job. By the way, we have not been having load shedding for more than 100 days in South Africa, so which is something we should applaud him and his team for as well. But he is actually a great individual. He loves the people. He loves this continent. And he's going to talk more about what should be done in terms of just transition on energy, which is one of his major topics. But he's also going to be one of the guests on this show. Fusi Tembakwayo, we are engaging his team. We'd like to bring Fusi Tembakwayo as well as an entrepreneur who started from early on in life. He had so many challenges. He launched his Facebook in Spain, I think, because nobody wanted to support him in the country. He had to go out of the country to be recognized first before he can, be recognized in his own country. So he's doing amazing things on the continent. He's well loved on the continent. He's like a big brother to me. And I also would like to bring him here on the show to share some of his views. But also please support what he's doing, like his podcast. Invite him to speak as well. He's a great speaker and someone who is well versed about what needs to be done on the continent. So great. The Global Entrepreneurship Village, some of the executive directors that are part of the Global Entrepreneurship Village, we're going to be inviting him. Most importantly, one of the colleagues of mine that I'm working with now, Dr. Joy Smart Francis, who is the executive director for initiatives and partnerships for the Global Entrepreneurship Village in Nigeria. She's an amazing woman, doing amazing things. She's also an entrepreneur on her own right, and I would love to invite her to be part of this podcast as well, and to share some of her views and some of the work that they're doing in supporting entrepreneurship development on the continent. Entrepreneurs such as Tony Alemule, we are going to be invited also on this podcast. Bora Ray, from the media perspective in Ghana, we're going to invite them on this podcast. And if there are many and more speakers that you would like us to invite on this podcast, that you like us to be able to engage, please post them on the comment or drop us an email and just make some of those recommendations. My team from the Progressive Professionals Forum in South Africa, especially our president Kashif, will also be invited on this podcast. Our provincial, our Western Cape director, our Dr. Tanya Bowers, an amazing woman who loves the continent, who loves the African people, who loves the work that we are doing on the African continent. She has been giving her time to encourage and to support Africa's development. So she's also going to be on this show. I don't know how the conversation will go from one angle to another, because she's well versed with knowledge and expertise, but also she's running a lot of programs in supporting the development of the African continent as well. So she's going to be invited on this podcast. I would love to, with the work that we are doing in South America, in the CARICOM countries, Guyana, Jamaica, Suriname, and so forth, I would really love to, my dear friend Sonia Noels, who is a fashion designer and an entrepreneur. She's been an entrepreneur for quite some time. She's well known. She's got so much expertise. But I was happy to share the platform with her in Johannesburg when she came to Africa for the first time. Actually, I inspired her to come to Africa for the first time in 2022. And we had a talk, including Ambassador Forbes July, who is the ambassador of Guyana and South Africa, but also representing the entire continent. And we spoke about collaboration beyond borders and how we can be able to work with South America for Africa's development and for our people, vice versa. And I think it's Ghana or Nigeria, I think it's Ghana as a country that was given land by Guyana in Guyana, because there's so much ties on the continent and they love Africa. So there's a lot of work that we are doing between Africa and the CARICOM countries, and we'd like to bring Sonia on this podcast as well. So she will be definitely one of the speakers that we're going to be inviting on this podcast. There are other speakers. Patience Shindong, who is from Cameroon, running Euro-AfriLink and now based in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands, and she's doing amazing work in connecting women African producers to their markets, access to markets in the Netherlands and Europe, and also supporting students that want to start in Europe, but also a number of initiatives that she's running. She does a lot of master classes on market access, especially for agricultural women producers from the continent. So we'd definitely love to bring her on the show and on this podcast, so that she can be able to share some of the opportunities and support structuring systems available for African entrepreneurs. Eni Kaita, the CEO of Legal Africa, wealth management company in Kenya, definitely would love to invite her also on this podcast as one of the speakers as well. And there's so many more. The president of the Africa Development Bank, the president of the African Bank. There's so many speakers that we would love to bring on this podcast, as well as entrepreneurs. So we love to bring entrepreneurs, founders, entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs that have success stories to tell, that can be able to share their journey and how they have been, doing in their businesses, and how best we can be able to learn from them. I love this company, and I don't know if they are still around. This company organize annual exhibitions in the Netherlands called BrainPod. Now, BrainPod will organize annually events whereby there's a lot of events happening simultaneously. There's masterclasses, conference presentations, exhibitions, workshops, where entrepreneurs from all over the world come together, share their experience, sharing of knowledge, learning from each other, investment. So there are different support structure that they do through their events. And imagine if we can do something similar to that. And by the way, I'm also the executive director of the Global Entrepreneurship Festival 2024 in Nigeria, that is going to take place from the 22nd, the 24th of November 2024. And I'd love to see you there. I'd love to invite you and welcome you there. But we are doing 12 events whereby we want to eradicate poverty through entrepreneurship development, where we want to, bring entrepreneurs across the world. This is the biggest event happening this year, and I'm happy to be part of the executive board to be able to assist in making sure that the implementation of this festival, of this event, takes place, but also bring the necessary support that is needed in order for us to build Africa. So we're also looking for partners. If you want to partner with us for the Global Entrepreneurship Festival, or for the consulting service that we offer, or some of the work that we're doing, please, again, that's another way of supporting this channel and supporting us and supporting yourself as well. We believe in shared value, shared vision. Support the bigger vision, so the bigger vision can support everybody. So thank you so very much. We love you all, and greetings from Cape Town. And until next time, please don't go away. Please don't forget to subscribe. Please, there's more where it comes from. So let's see you. We will post on our social media who will be our first guest we're going to invite for the second episode. And please follow us on different social media so that you can keep updated. And if there are any comments or advice, inputs that you like us, suggestions that you like us to include, to consider, please, you're welcome to post them on the chat or just drop us an email, and we have a 48 turnaround time to respond. But thank you so much. Until next time, bye bye.